Over 30 years ago, I made a decision that completely changed my life. I quit my 9-to-5 job with no business plan and only a few years of experience as an electrician. Welcome to our channel. In this video, I'm going to be brutally honest about what I went through. Everyone has a story, and this is mine. My self-employment journey began in my early 20s. At the time, I was offered a tough choice by my employer: accept a redundancy payout or stay on under a new contract. In New Zealand, this is often called a restructure, but let's be real, it's usually about cutting costs and pushing out staff. I was young and naive. I chose redundancy. Without doing any planning, I took the payout and decided to become my own boss. There was no social media, no YouTube channels to learn from, and I wasn't big on self-help books. I was diving into entrepreneurship completely blind. My partner and I were living in a small one-bedroom granny flat at my mother-in-law's. Our living expenses were low, and my partner was working, which helped. That gave me just enough breathing room to give self-employment a shot. But I had no clue how to start a business from scratch. I just knew I needed tools, a vehicle, and a phone. So I bought a second-hand van, practical and cheaper than the 4x4 I wanted. I invested in more tools, many of which I had started collecting during my apprenticeship. I also bought one of the first mobile phones on the market, a massive Nokia brick with a long antenna. It felt futuristic at the time, and I was sure it would make my new business more professional. Then, I waited, and stressed. No phone calls, no jobs. My new business phone stayed silent, and my tools collected dust. I had launched a new business during the 1991 recession, and I hadn't even considered how the economy might affect getting clients. I had no marketing plan, no experience with pricing, and no idea how to actually grow a business. Eventually, a friend gave me my first job. Then another came through word of mouth. Slowly, the wheels began to turn. But in those early years of self-employment, I made every mistake in the book. I undercharged for my services. I overpromised. I didn't know how to say no. I had no systems, no schedule, and no work-life balance. Where was the freedom I expected after quitting my 9-to-5 job? I found myself working 60 to 70 hours a week. I'd spend 10 hours on the tools, then go home and quote jobs at night. Some weeks, I worked 7 days straight. I was bouncing between jobs, taking on too much, and trying to keep everyone happy. My phone rang day and night. What once felt like a cool tool of independence became a source of constant stress. My partner handled the finances and kept the books in order, which was a huge help. But emotionally, I was drained. I was burnt out. Some clients tried to negotiate down prices, even after jobs were complete. I didn't set boundaries, and I paid the price for that. Still, I kept pushing through. Being self-employed meant learning as I went. I had no mentor, no one to lean on, and I worked alone for years. Some months were amazing, big projects, great income, and a sense of pride. Other months were quiet, stressful, and filled with self-doubt. Let's pause my story here. If you are enjoying our content, we would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. We post new videos weekly. Back to my story. Going on holiday? This was nearly impossible in those early years. There was no one to cover for me, and of course, the phone would still ring while I was away. Eventually, I built up a network of support around me with other tradesmen who I could swap cover with, and later I took on staff, which made life easier, but also came with its own challenges. Still, with the encouragement of my partner, we grew the business into something we were proud of. Let's be honest, quitting your job to start a business with no plan is risky. My timing was terrible, my decision was naive, and I had no clear direction. But I learned more in that first year of being self-employed than I did in all my years as an employee. I discovered the personal growth that only happens when no one else is steering the ship. You become more disciplined, more creative, and a lot more resilient. You learn to survive. Then, eventually, you learn to thrive. Over time, I developed systems, and I learned how to charge what I was worth and found the confidence to say no. I built a business that supported not just me, but my family. I had a certain level of freedom that being self-employed allowed me. However, you need to define what freedom means to you. Is your freedom taking your family away for holidays around the world when you feel like it? Or maybe you would be just as happy with the flexibility to work only 4 days a week but still earn a 5-day income and enjoy a 3-day weekend. Whatever it is to you, make sure you plan ahead and think it through thoroughly. Is freedom living by your rules? It can mean different things to different people. I believe we are at our happiest if we have friends, family, and freedom. I've traveled the world through my work, built a great life, and met some amazing people. But if you think it was easy, it wasn't. If you're thinking about quitting your job and starting a business, my advice is don't do what I did and dive right in without a plan, knowledge, or support. I recommend you watch my next video. Take this 5-step checklist before you quit your job. It'll help you avoid the mistakes I made and show you how to prepare for self-employment the smart way. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your story or maybe offer some advice for anyone else watching.